Welcome once again to Conversations with the Gospel Legends. I'm Bob Marovich, your host. We are here through the good graces of the Reverend Harold Bailey of the PCC Network. And I also want to give a salute to Mr. Clarence McMillan, who makes all of the video and everything work here, including the great new logo that we have, the great intro. I love it. Thank you to Reverend Bailey and to Mr. McMillan for making this show possible. Today, we're going to do something a little different on Conversations with the Gospel Legends. We have a young man with us who is also talking with gospel legends, but he is also a musician, a songwriter, and he has a history in gospel music all himself. Eric Maurice Clark. Eric, thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for allowing me to come.
Oh, my pleasure. You live in Arizona, so we wanted to take advantage of you while you were here.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you. Well, first of all, were you born in Chicago?
Technically I was born in Harvey, Illinois.
Okay.
But in my later years, I actually moved to Chicago, but a lot of my family lived in the city.
Okay. Yeah. And what church did you attend when you were a child?
Oh, God. Christ Temple Apostolic Faith Church, 14 South Ashland. Oh, my Lord. Bishop D. Ray Favell, born and raised in that church.
Was that sort of the first place where you heard gospel music and church music?
It was. I just love to hear the song selection that my church was singing, and the hymns. We would always have devotional service and testimony service, and at testimony service I got a chance to hear all types of other songs because they would get up and sing songs that I may never heard before. I'm like, wow, I like this, and I started looking for the songs or whatnot.
Okay, so even as a young person, you were interested in finding the origins of the songs.
Absolutely.
Now, we had a great chance last year about this time last year, to talk with your grandfather, Jesse McDonald.
Yes.
Tell us about your grandfather's work in gospel music.
Well, my grandfather, he's very dear to me. I'm appreciative that if I cried, just allow me.
You wouldn't be the first on the show. No, we're okay.
Well, I'm appreciative that he allowed himself to be who he was. A lot of times it's easier said than really what it is, because there's a lot of adversities and different obstacles in life that can stray us away from our purpose. But when one actually live out and, work in their purpose, that's inspirational and it's profound. And my grandfather's that type of person, and I watched him down through the years, how he provided for his family and was such a great example of how a Christian, how a human, and just how things should really go in life. And knowing that he was a musician, oh, wow. Bob, it took my breath away to see my grandfather over there on the pianos on Sundays. He'd be over there packing away, doing what he loved, You just see he'd be singing along with the congregation, and he worked with the choirs. He was over all of the choirs there, so he was responsible for what the choirs sang, and the list just goes on from there.
So you really had music coming in through the family.
Oh, well. Yeah, absolutely.
And now, who were some of your other music inspirations growing up?
Growing up musically, definitely, I would want to say, growing up, there was a musician at the church. His name was Levi Alexander, and one thing that there was appealing to me about him was that his style of playing was jazzy, yet you could tell that he had that foundational type of flow with his playing, but he was just jazzy and more contemporary. So he contemporized the music there at the church, and I latched on to him. I just appreciated his style, and I hosted a TV show. And back in that particular, it started when I was 13, and he was my musician for the TV show. And I can't leave this out too. Another music, his name, I believe it was Donald. He played for Pastor Philip E. Sneed. Okay. He played for his church on Sunday mornings, and when I tell you, he glorified those songs and made them so beautiful. I said, you know what, I want to do this.
Oh, so that's kind of where you got the inspiration to become a musician.
Absolutely, although I was packing at it,
Okay.
but just hearing just his preciseness and the way that he delivered, I'm like, you know what, I want to be able to be the one to, yeah.
Well, and what's great to hear about this is that too often we hear about gospel music after the person has moved from this, but churches, hearing musicians, hearing the singers,
Right.
hearing the testimonies,
Mm-hmm.
that's really the foundation. Isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. 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 Foundation. And then, too, I remember very vividly, too, I would hear songs, as I think of now in retrospect, when I would hear particular songs, I didn't, technology isn't the way that it is now. So I tried my best to, find out who the artist was and find different information about the artist. And I might as well say this too. Even at that particular time, I was so moved to just reach out to people and let them know I appreciate you. That's what the show was about. Like, I would say, for instance, my dad had a video company. Say, for instance, he'd be out doing a concert somewhere, and I hear somebody sing. I'll sneak up to him after service. I say, hey, my name is Eric. I have a show on CAN TV. Could you do an interview with me? And that's how a lot of my interviews, because I just wanted them to know, listen, what you're doing, I don't overlook that. It's so much more to what you're doing than what the average mind could perceive. Don't let me go.
No, but you're absolutely right. I mean, I think oftentimes the artists like that, we think that they get a lot of accolades, but they don't.
They really
and
don't.
When somebody comes up like that and tells them what a great job they did and how they're inspired by them, that really means a lot.
Can I say this, Bob? Yeah. Okay, so Bob, now I'm doing something I'm calling improv interviews, and just literally is from my heart, and just the response from the artist is really touching to me, because I want them to be inspired, but you never visit them being inspired the way that they are. Man, there's so many stories. Just the recent interview, she was so inspired. You can just feel the glory just in the interview. We had a musician, but I wanted things to be peculiar, and I just had him play soft to keep the spirit there, and we just talked, and we were very cautious to the spirit and allow the spirit to move. Like, even though I wanted to ask questions, but if the spirit was there, I wanted her to minister to the people and leave that particular signature right there on that in that moment.
And this is a generation too of artists that have not been, their stories haven't been told out there. I won't say we take them for granted, but because they're of our generation or just the previous, we don't think of history, but it is history, and it has this link. And it's great, Richard. I wanted to, before we go to break, tell me about this show you did at 13 years old. 13,
okay, so it was a show I did, it was entitled Let's Talk About Music. My dad was a videographer around the city, did a lot of stuff. And he wanted me to do some plays or whatnot. And I told him no, and I can tell he was kind of like, okay, whatever. And then I came back to him. I said, Dad, you know what I like to do? I would like to do my own TV show where I just, interview people and just have them, perform. And he said, you know what? Sure. So I was having music lessons at this particular time at Bishop Jerry Jones Church, Apostolic Assembly of the Lord Jesus Christ. And there was a minister of music there. Oh my God. Minister Raymond Dunlap, his sister Adelia Dunlap, did a lot of work with Bobby Jones in Michigan, Flint, Michigan, and all of that good stuff. And and I didn't even call him before. It was after the lesson. I said, would you mind doing a show with me? And he said, he's like, okay, I'll do it. And it was so refreshing. You could see my lips was pink. You could tell I was young, and I was up there just trying to do the best that I could. And I can remember the songs that he did. He wrote a song, I Found a Friend, and He's in a High Place. There was another song, he wrote a song for his mom. It was called Mother's Love. And then he did I won't complain.
Oh, wow.
We had a good time.
Well, when we come back, what we're going to find out is that Eric Clark is more than a historian. He's also a songwriter and a recording artist. When we come back to Conversations with the Gospel Legends, we'll hear more from Eric Clark.
No way, no way, I wouldn't give up now. No way, no way, I refuse to give in now. Regardless of what's going on in your life and how the situation is and how you may think that things will never get better, how you have to cry yourself to sleep, cry yourself through the day. Relationships are chaos and family is chaos and it's just chaos on every hand. Finances are in a...
Gospel Legends. Today we are talking with Eric Clark. We've been talking about his work celebrating other musicians and artists, so we want to celebrate him as well because he is also a gospel songwriter. When did you start writing your own songs?
I started writing a very long time ago, but the first song that I ever wrote, I was actually still in school. I remember I was in the shower, bathing, and some words just came to my head, and the words they really conveyed my feelings, and pretty much I started saying that I was determined to walk with Jesus. And then the verse came in, friends may not always have your back. The devil may be trying to turn you back. Problems all in the school. Satan's acting the fool, but I'm determined. And my dad, I really miss him a lot. He did a lot to show that he believed that his children can be whatever they wanted to do just with consistency. And my dad, he helped me build a level of consistency by allowing me to do the things that I was doing. And he'll find different avenues to allow them to manifest. So the Williams singers, Bishop Perry Williams, very dear to me, family. Derek Williams, preferably, was very close with my dad, and they made it happen. We recorded that particular song at midnight. At that time, they were having something called a Joshua joint. And the youth would come out there to the west side, and they literally stayed out there for me, and we recorded that song. So that was the first song that I ever wrote, and we recorded it, and I never massively distributed or anything like that, because pretty much I just really wanted to get what was in me out, and I'm appreciative that I did, because I actually obtained an old copy of it too. So.
Well, can you tell us how old you were when you wrote that song?
So I believe I was maybe 15, maybe 14, somewhere in there.
And when you recorded it, were you
the same? It was when I wrote it, recorded it probably the next weekend.
Wow. Well, and then you did Songs from the Heart.
Oh my God!
And what was great about that, first of all, Never Alone with Minister Tim White. Tell us about why you wrote that song and how you got Minister White to sing it.
Let me take my glasses off. Minister Tim White is one of the most phenomenal minstrels, and the thing about Minister Tim White is that no matter if it's a crowd, a house full of people, he's going to execute the same way wherever he is. And matter of fact, I met Minister Tim White through my TV show. Minister Tim White called me while I was on TV. He's 1 year older than me, so I think I was 16, he was 17. He called me, and Professor Willie James McFadden, I was doing a radio show at that particular time with Professor, and he came out there, and from the rest, it was history. He started being on my TV show, but the rush on. So I wanted to I actually wrote it with him in mind, because I knew that he could deliver it in that sermonic feel the way that nobody can, like Tim White. And I called him and asked him to do it, and he said he wanted to hear it. And of course, I had already I showed someone else the song, and I had it already, so I sent that to him. But let me tell you how it happened when we recorded it. Oh Jesus, we waited to the end of the session. Oh my God! I mean, the studio was full. We had the engineer, we had a pastor, Renee Crutchfield, pastor, so many people in there. But when I told the engineer, I want to do this live. I want this V3, I want this Leslie. I want to hear this while he sings so that they can match, okay? And he was like, I don't know about doing all that because it might be. So he worked out a way to, to section off the speaker, and he realized why I wanted to do it that way. When I tell you we had church in there,
oh yeah,
we had to pause.
Yeah, I can imagine.
We had to pause because Tim, he executed.
Yeah, he's a force of nature. He really is. And you have church with Tim White.
Oh yes,
you do.
Yes.
It's like Lemmy Battles. When they sing, you have church.
Absolutely.
And before we go on to Songs from the Heart, you mentioned Willie James McFadden. Tell us about your relationship with Professor McFadden. I remember. Yeah. For those who don't know who Professor Willie James McFadden, he was one of the original Alex Bradford singers, and he actually went to Europe he was original cast member of Black Nativity, and then went on to sing in Europe with the cast of Black Nativity, and then he sang with the Caravans. I mean, radio announcer, musician, all of those things. Professor McFadden was somebody who, he was on the Abyssinian Church Choir recording with Alex Bradford. My goodness, a lot of it. Is he related, or is it sort of a relation by?
He's my godfather.
He is your godfather. All right.
Yes. When I was a teenager, I was staying in Hazelcrest. It's just the joy that I had with him. I would go from Hazelcrest and go all the way to the city. We sit down and just listen to music and just talk and just enjoy each other's company. And she just shared so much information with me, and just being around him to actually kind of embrace or get a feel of how gospel music was performed in that particular time, and just their mindsets and where the message came from, how the delivery came forth. He was someone very important to me. I spent so much time with him. He showed me so much. A lot of my information comes from him. And that's why, Bob, I know you're in it, but Bob, thank you for what you do. Because if it wasn't for people like you, Bob, some of the history that we have, and I want to embrace the word history. I'm not saying history just to know, but there is inspiration in history.
The stories.
Yes, you give us inspiration, Bob.
Thank you. Well, that means my work is being done, absolutely. Because Professor McFadden, he was on my radio show many years ago, and he talked to you very honestly about these things. I love the fact that the song that Alex Bradford had him to sing, he didn't like that song.
Oh, he'd say that all the time. He'd be like, oh, no, I just didn't like it, I didn't like it, I didn't like it. But it's another song that he sang with Professor. I have it on my phone so I don't go mind blank. Because when I was younger, I would always I took him to the Harold Washington Library to see him. Oh, that was a pivot point.
Was it?
Oh, yeah. We sat there and we watched the Jubilee Showcase, and he came on and he sang "Let God Abide."
Did he really? Oh, how cool!
Well, it was a medley that Bradford had did at that particular time. I'll have to find the song for you right now because I want some people to listen to it. He really did a wonderful job on it. It's called "I Said I Wasn't Gonna Tell Nobody." I said, but I couldn't keep it. And then he comes in and just takes it to a whole different element. I mean, and it's kind of similar to "You Have to Bear the Consequences," but it's not that first song.
Yeah, that is a song that people know. If they don't know any other song on that album, they know that one.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, when we come back, I want to continue to talk about Songs from the Heart, and then talk about the work you're doing now to tell the stories of other gospel artists. When we come back. Conversations with the Gospel Legends. I'm Bob Marovich. We are here with Derek Clark. Before we get into the work you're doing, the Gospel Legends, I want to ask you about one more song. The song from the heart, Not Built to Break. Renee Crutchfield.
Oh, thank you so much. We're not built to break. Listen, when I wrote that song, in my head, I said, nobody's going to want to hear I'm not built to break. And I was kind of contemplating with that thought. I'm like, it doesn't even almost seem like it's sitting well in the rhythm. Maybe I need to go back and do it again. But I kept hearing in my head, not built to break, not built to break. And then something hit me like a stick. It said, yes, it get rough at times. Oh my God, when that came on my, I was like, yes, it get rough at times, but I was built to win. Who would imagine I'll still be here today by We're Not Built to Break. But I'm so grateful to have the iconic Renee Crutchfield Patterson. She flew all the way from Indianapolis to Phoenix, Arizona to record that song.
Well, she did a great job with it. And these are songs that are like hymns. When you're mentioning the lyrics, these are like hymn lyrics.
Yes.
These are not, the praise and worship lyrics, which I disrespect the praise and worship. But,
right.
They said a different ministry, but this is for people who are hurting.
Yes.
People who need ministry.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, so now you've gotten into where you're actually talking to other artists, people. What inspired you to start that?
Well, when I look back, I've been always doing it, but Bob, I'm gonna tell you this, and this is I've come to this knowledge. I've always been a writer, but I strayed away from it because I thought it wasn't popular. I thought people didn't want to read, So I strayed away and went down different avenues. And oh my God. But when I came back to it, the effect, it just let me know that, you can't look at, or you can't allow negativity to cause you to forfeit your purpose. Correct. Because if you allow it to forfeit your purpose, you would die not being able to manifest who you were created to be. And with Someone You Should Know, I started that. I was just thinking about Sid or Dom with Jubilee Showcase. And I'm like, I just want to put his name out there a little bit, And then I just started thinking, and I'm like, you know what? There are living legends that's on social media that you never know, And when I write Someone You Should Know, it's not like I just take a couple of minutes, and I sit down for hours and just think and ask the Lord, Lord, how can I convey this in a way that is understandable, or is touching, or it's comprehensive in a way that is inspiring. And I sit there and I just start looking up people's work and start just thanking God for them for their work. Right. Like, oh, they did that too. And I'm listening to it. I'm like, wow, they really did that. Thank you for this. And when it's all said and done, I have a whole Someone You Should Know post. And then I'm doing the improv interviews, and it's just as blatant as it is. I just want to see people in their natural state. Let me know who you are. Why do you do what you do? And while I'm finding out why you do what you do, I want to let you know I appreciate you for doing what you do, and want to pay homage in a way, and just let you know we haven't forgot about you. And I want to take my step in my own way to let you know, hey, you've done a good job, and continue on, and we appreciate you.
Now, so who are some of the artists that you've been able to interview?
Oh my God, I was blessed to go into gospel legend Henry Jackson's home.
Oh wow, yes.
Yes, we sat and literally looked at all of his LPs. Let's see who else. Malice Amore. Oh, yeah. We rode around Chicago, did an improv interview at Ebenezer Church, and he did a great performance there. Let's see who else. Calvin Van Aron. Okay, we just did something with him in in L.A. Sister Elaine Roberson from Dan Willis and the Pentecostals. Shouts out to Dan Willis and the Pentecostals Chicago. Great job, great vision. Oh, and she let me know something, and it's good to do this because sometimes you would never know this information. Correct. She let us know how that whole choir came about. She told us that Reverend Dan Willis sent letters to apostolic churches and asked the pastor if they had any youth that wanted to be involved in any, a choir. And she said that Bishop Bell allowed them to go. And she said the rest was, I never knew that.
See? Had you not asked and had she not said that?
Yeah. So I'm just, to summarize, I'm just happy to be doing what I'm very passionate. It literally comes from my heart. And I'm just looking forward new people, maybe people I've not even heard of that can, come into my life and I can hear some of what they've done and perhaps they're still alive and I can go and, pay homage to them too, because we don't know it all, but, one thing leads to another and it connects the whole picture together.
Exactly. We don't know the day or the hour, so doing it now, the urgency.
Are you preaching right now?
Right. Yeah, with all the license. But yeah, it's the urgency. Absolutely.
Yes.
It's the absolute urgency. Anybody surprised when you came up to him and said, I want to interview you?
Oh, my Lord, yes. Henry Jackson was so surprised. Malice was so surprised. Oh, I forget. How could I forget? I was doing something called The Travel. Remember you did
The Travel. I was there with...
right. The first one, I wanted to pay homage to Ricky Diller. The second one, we did iconic figure on the west side of Chicago, Keith Butler. Whoa. After that, we did, oh, my God, now... Modern day times, Kevin Davidson and the Voices is one of my absolute all-time favorites. I mean, I know every last one of them. He's just an inspirational writer. Shouts out to Kevin Davidson. And after that, the most important show that I did of all, and that was the one that Bob Maurice flew to Phoenix, Arizona. And we did The Travel with my grandfather.
That was delightful.
Wasn't it?
He was just not only a source of information, but a source of inspiration.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And then to find out that he knew Dolores Washington of the Caravans and went to church with her, and my goodness, all that. Was there anyone that you've been starstruck around that you've interviewed that sort of took you?
Starstruck.
Or do you not get starstruck at all?
No, oh yeah, I do. Oh, okay. I do. But I'll try to think if it's one. Honestly, all of them.
Okay.
To be honest with you, because I appreciate everybody to say. I really do. But I wish I could have honestly met Professor Alice Bradford. I'm honored that I was able to meet Albertina Walker. She's my favorite all-time gospel singer. And who else? I would have loved to meet the Davis sisters.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many that have gone on way before any of us started really digging deeper.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I was starstruck with Reverend Dr. Clay Evans. Interviewed him.
Wow.
I just sat there and thought, what this man has done and been through.
Absolutely.
You're saying, I'm not worthy. So tell us about your new program about the Christmas album.
Oh, thank you so much. So I decided this year, 2019, to try to help make the season bright. And I was like, what way could I do that? And I said, through music, by, presenting a presentation 12 days before Christmas, while every night we're bringing back a classic album and sharing history about the album and just helping people to say, hey, you know what, I remember 2019, I enjoyed Christmas music with Eric Maurice Clark. I learned this, I learned that. And then we're also going to have live performances, too. Right, and it's going to be right in my home.
Well, and how can people access this show?
Right through my Facebook page, Eric Maurice Clark. Robert Hawkins will be there. Todd Rashad Buckley from Sweet Holy Spirit will be there. DeLeon Carr from Ricky Dillers and New G will be there. Reggie Campbell. He's actually, I don't know if he's from Phoenix, but he lives in Phoenix. He'll be doing, and so many more. So, yeah, it's right on my Facebook page.
Awesome. Well, go to Facebook at Eric Maurice Clark.
Absolutely.
Eric Maurice Clark, you'll see there. And thank you for being on the show. Thank you for sharing your story and other stories. And you've got many more stories in your history, in your future. Somebody 30, 40 years from now will be looking back at you as, well, they're probably now looking as an inspiration, but people will be talking about you as somebody who inspired them. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Thank you for watching Conversations with the Gospel Legends. We'll be back soon with more conversations. In the meantime, it's the holiday season. Have a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
I've been through too